Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball speculation video. I am once again joined by MJ from GeekList TV. MJ, what's up, man?
Hi.
Hi. Guys, we're here to talk to y'all about the Gods of Destruction. We've seen all 12 of them now. Like, go figure, none of them, like we talked about earlier, are actually twins like Beerus and Champa, but that's good for us because we got a lot of diversity. We got a lot to look at, a lot to speculate over just based off their looks. And in this video, we're going to look at each and every single one of them one at a time and give us a range, or give y'all a range of where we think they are in terms of power scaling against each other and for what reasons. And we're just going to start this off by looking at one of the ones who's probably pretty ominous and I guess has some kind of a fan interaction up until this point. We're talking about Gowasu's God of Destruction of Universe 10, Big Elephant Guy. MJ, where do you think he falls on the list? Just give us a range. I mean, like, we don't necessarily know where they're going to fit, but just let's 1 to 2 or 3, you know, like at least 3 off.
I would have to say he's probably... I would have to say he's at least top 3, bro, for a few reasons. One, I mean, they're kind of putting him in the forefront above the other guys of destruction here. Now, maybe that could be a bit... Nathan's calling me. Maybe that could be a bit... just like them messing with us, you know? But at the same time, people have kind of talked about Universe 10 having the weakest universe, or being like one of the weakest universe because of Gowasu and Zamasu and stuff. But I don't think that's the case. I feel like he'll probably be one of the strongest, and plus his design is based off an elephant. You would have to think that means, you know, power, you know, like just strong, you know what I mean? At least it would kind of correlate with that. So I think he'll probably be like in the top 3. So I'll probably give him like maybe the number 2 position.
Yeah, I completely understand. I agree with that. I personally, in terms of power, I would probably put him at 2 as well. You know, in that ballpark of like the top 3, I think 2 is a safe bet for him. Plus, you know, just looking at his, you know, his stature and exactly what he is, elephants are termed like they never forget. You know, they're very smart creatures. I wouldn't be really surprised if this guy actually ends up being like, you know, at least it probably the oldest and probably most intelligent of them. It'd be really funny if all the gods just don't interact very well, but he's basically like the dad of the group. He's like, you guys are just, you're all like just children, you know, immature children. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about, because I definitely think this also falls into the top 3. Actually, I feel like this guy's the number 1 strongest fighter of them, is the dwarf guy that we got. He got his very own personal ad placement in Jump, I think. Was it Jump? Yeah, like they got, you know, they gave him his own personal, and, you know, he likes long walks on the beach and all that. But no, seriously, he definitely to me looks like the strongest out of all of them. He's this dwarf guy. You know, he's not necessarily intimidating. He's probably the smallest of all of them besides the hairy dude, and I feel like, you know, he's intimidating when they show him in the intro. Even he's just right up on the camera. You know, he's closer than the elephant is, and he's just intimidating looking for the most part. What are your thoughts? Like, do you think he's top 3? He's probably down below for you.
I think he's probably number 1. Just I put him at number 1 above the elephant just due to this one simple fact. He looks very old. Now, when you go back and look at his the leak, right, that we got of him, when you look at him, he looks very old, like a very old facial features, like how the Elder Kai kind of has like very old facial features, you know. I know people make fun of Super, they can't draw old characters, but, you know, when they do draw old characters, you can still see that they're old, and he definitely looks a lot older than the other guys of destruction, at least from the ones that I'm seeing, and the ones that I've seen from the trailer. And if anime tells you one thing, Mark, it's, you know, never trust a short old guy, you know what I mean, because they'll always whoop your ass, you know, in one way, shape, or form. So I feel like he probably is the strongest because of that, and I would put him at number 1 just also because he got his own little leak, like you mentioned. They put him in the forefront. He's like right up in the camera. People might say it's because he's short, but I mean, at the same time, it's just the way they did it. They put him right there in front of everybody, so I feel like that's gonna play a thing. I just feel like he is number 1.
Just keeping with this, like, why don't you pick the next 2 we'll discuss?
Okay, the next 2, I believe, and this is just like, it's just hitting me, bro. It has to be the case. I feel like the Cleopatra looking God of Destruction will have to be at least number 3. At least number 3 for one reason, and that is because Cleopatra's kind of associated with charm and beauty. So it would be kind of funny for like maybe her to have like this charm over the other gods of destruction that they kind of just melt whenever they see her. But at the same time, it's not just because they can't do anything about it, because like let's say maybe let's say Champa, for example. Maybe Champa is kind of like immune to it because maybe he doesn't give a crap. Maybe he just wants food, but yeah, like he can't do anything about it because she'll fuck him up. You know what I mean? It's just like, so I feel like that could be a play, and I feel like she could definitely be number 3. Because plus, I mean, Cleopatra, come on, an Egyptian goddess, like it just works. I would think.
No, now, I feel like I'm sorry to interrupt, but I definitely feel you, man. Like I also. Top 3, I think you and I are pretty much on the money. We feel the same way about this, but I feel like top 3, man, one of them has to be the woman. I mean, the only woman of the 12, the trinity of the gods of destruction, as it were, it would probably have to be her. It'd be awesome too. I think like if the other ones were afraid of her power, but like you said, also kind of attracted and charmed by her, that would just make some for great comedic moments.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I'll go ahead and give the next one. And the next one I put... It's kind of hard to see him. But I put that robot-looking god just due to the fact that he is second behind the elephant. And I would just think the dude is basically a tank. And if you associate tanks with anything, he's very capable, durable, destructive probably. So I would probably put him behind the Cleopatra god, because I mean, come on, it's a robot, or at least it looks like her. In fact, that looks like Magetta's ancestor. That'd be actually kind of cool if Magetta's like, Dad, like he freaks out. But no, I'm just kidding. That would be kind of cool if that is the place. But I feel like having like a robot and kind of like putting some versatility in here, having a Cleopatra the woman and then having the robot obviously associated with durability, because the dude is built like a tank, like he looks like it. So I definitely put him at number 4. I don't know what you think about that.
No, I think I would also agree with that. I mean, for me, it's a real big up in the air type of thing, honestly. Once we start getting away from those top 3, it starts getting a little bit iffy, just because we're not necessarily getting the best of looks at a lot of other people, and the people we have gotten like a good view of or even know, like Beerus and Champa. I kind of feel like they're kind of middle of the road as it comes to it, just based on like what we've heard from them, and especially in the movie, if that's still, I know it's not canon or even like continuity based, but he's basically admitted he's not the strongest out there. So I would probably put the robot in the top 5 from myself too. 4 or 5, but I would be willing to go with 4, just because he to me is just weird. Like everyone else kind of fits in this own like crazy little Egyptian style, or even just an Egyptian mythos type of concept, but he's just a robot. Like it's weird, and it probably is, like you said, he's a tank and no one messes with him because you can't hurt the guy if he does destroy anyone and for anything. And personally, one thing I'd really like to see is him also be very, very methodical, maybe even maybe the smartest, not quippy, not funny or anything, just maybe really straight to the point, just because he's a robot and he's not necessarily bound with like any personality like Beerus and Champa have, or inevitably any of these other characters are going to have.
I would love for him to be so huge and built like a tank, but then when he talks, he has like a Gregory voice, like a real high pitched voice. It's just like, hey guys, like real high pitched. But I think moving on, me and you kind of talked about this off air, and we kind of agree that Champa and Beerus like middle of the road. So you want to put them like around 5, 6, putting Beerus above Champa.
Yeah, I would definitely, I don't think we need to talk much about that. I feel like those guys are pretty much guaranteed to be middle of the road when it comes to the strength of the people around them.
I will throw this out here before we move on, though. For people wondering why we don't have Beerus higher, it's just for this one reason, and that's the fact that he does tell Goku in both the anime and manga that there are beings out there that are even greater than Goku can imagine. And just due to the fact that we have not seen that many of those fighters. Like we've only seen Hit, and then it looks like this new guy who's in the intro in the Dragon Ball Super opening too. So other than those two guys, we haven't really seen people who are greater than what Goku can imagine. So I assume Beerus is talking about his fellow colleagues in the God of Destruction. I would at least assume so. And plus, putting Beerus above Champa makes sense because it was stated in the Constantial Degree of Danger Guide and the Rival series that Champa and Beerus are equal, but just due to the fact that Vados' comments about Champa being overweight, Beerus might have the edge on him as far as speed and stamina goes, so it makes sense to put Beerus at 5 and then Champa at 6, but they're not really that much far apart from each other.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I feel like Champa, while being a little bit weaker than Beerus, is someone of a very formidable of an opponent, and the weaker versions of the Gods of Destructions probably aren't necessarily stupid enough to screw with him. Plus, also them being middle of the road concepts would be really cool, considering these are the two people who act out a lot, and you don't have a lot of people on the back. You have more people on the back of them and the front of them who would give a crap, and having the two gods in basically the middle of the road also throwing that tournament that was on GodTube, obviously at some point probably all these people know about it, so it's just really up there in terms of figuring out who is and who isn't strong enough. But I feel like that's a good way to put them in. I want to throw my guess for, I guess, number 7. I guess we're on. Oh man, this is where it starts getting hard because I know 12 and 11. Like I know 12, 11, and 10. But when you're looking at 7, 8, and 9, I'm just gonna say, man, like I would really like number 7 to be this bat creature. I don't know where you would put him at. Bat creature behind the robot, behind the fox and Cleopatra. I don't really know what he looks like. Bat, or maybe some kind of fish or something. Now this is like our first official look at this guy, and I mean he just looks cool to me. And maybe it's kind of a misdirection. He's supposed to look stronger than he really is, but I mean everyone, like there's other people that I just have the feeling that they're not as strong as they seem.
I'll go ahead and back you up here. I would have put him at number 7 just due to the fact that when you look at his face, like his facial structure and like his shoulders, he does look like a fighter. Like he doesn't look like skinny or thin like Beerus, and he doesn't look overweight like Champa does. And plus he does look sort of appealing. He looks almost like a fusion between Kui, that guy who fought Vegeta Dynamic, and like Janemba. Like he looks like a fusion between them. But just looking at his facial structure, he does look like a fighter. Like his build almost resembles a fighter. I would have to go back and check him out in the trailer. But looking just at what I'm seeing right now on the screen, he does resemble a fighter, like a build of a fighter. So I would put him at number 7. That's pretty plausible. I mean, I wouldn't say he's probably stronger than Beerus though, but he's probably up there, number 7.
Yeah. And look, I'm going to also throw this, like I said, 7, 8, and 9 for me are very, very difficult just because of what they are. I'm just going to say little hairy guy right here over by the dwarf from the intro. I think he is probably number 8. I have no reason to know that one way or the other, but he seemingly is the smallest of all the gods of destruction. And I wouldn't necessarily make him be the weakest, but at the same time, he doesn't look like he's the strongest. Like you were saying, the short dwarf guy, because of that stature, he seems like he could be the strongest for whatnot. I don't necessarily think they're going to play that off twice. So maybe this guy's the strongest. Maybe he's middle of the road in terms of 7, 8, 9, something like that. But I would put him at number 8.
Yeah, that's a fair number. I would put him there too. I mean, going off of this, we're just basically going off of looks, so putting him there, it seems pretty plausible. I don't really see him being higher than like Champa or Beerus,
Mm-hmm. What about what would you put the next two? I mean, we're going on 9 and 10 at this point.
I guess probably that guy in the back behind the fox. He just seems not to appeal to me, so I'll just throw him there. Because I don't think he's the weakest, but I mean, I just don't see him. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, look, I don't even know what that guy's problem is. For anyone who's watching this video, we'll point it out and you'll see it. But at the same time, like like he's like wearing some kind of a mask with some kind of a mohawk type of situation. It's weird. Like
He looks like a Street Fighter character.
yeah, like I honestly think I don't think he's the weakest, but I honestly don't think he's the strongest either. I'd probably put him there too. I mean, I'd probably put him at not. I'd probably put him at 10, honestly, but I couldn't necessarily say he's the strongest.
Yeah. For the next one, I would probably put that mouse-licking god of destruction just due to the fact that, like, I don't think he's going to be the strongest, but I will think he'll have an ability similar to that of, like, the teleportation or, like, the Kibito's maneuver where he's able to move through universes and stuff, where he's able to kind of just be quick, like, he's able to get around, you know? So I think he'll have, like, a cool ability similar to that, which kind of correlates with his design. So I don't think he's the weakest, but I think he'll beat it just due to the fact. Or, I mean, hell, maybe Super will take the route that where just because you're strong, it doesn't mean you're fast. You know, maybe he might be weak, but he's still one of the faster gods of destruction, you know? So,
Yeah, like you know, like going off that, I don't necessarily think I would put him at number 10. Like I said, I probably wouldn't even put him at number 9. We were a little bit off as we get a little bit further in here, but at the same time, just talking about him, I'd probably put him at number. Maybe I'd put him at number 9, I think. One of the things I want from him, like you said, he's like a mouse or like some kind of a mouse-looking creature. I would really like for him to be obsessed with his speed. Like, I'm talking like straight up birder level. Like, I'm the fastest in the multiverse type of thing. Like, like freaking, what is it's like, man, like just the fastest guy. Maybe even a stereotype of like, you know, the who's the mouse from Looney Tunes that used to like, oh man, I can't think of the name.
I was thinking more of Tom and Jerry. Like we'll get like Beerus and him have like a rivalry or something.
Yeah, like that would be really cool too. Maybe they hate each other, but like Beerus can't catch him.
Like that would be so cool. Like you just have like him just pop up behind Beerus and like punch him and moves, and he's like, "One of these days I'm gonna get you, motherfucker." You know.
I really like, honestly, just going off of just stereotypes of mice being quick and nifty and all that stuff. I would really like for him to be, regardless of where he falls, I would really like for him to be obsessed with his speed, or at least really cocky about it. And yeah, like you said, like a rivalry between Beerus and Champa would be absolutely hysterical. And I guess I would say that going on to the next one, because we only got 2 more here, this Fox guy, if we're going to play off of, you know, the normal kind of idea that cats and dogs and mice, like it would be really cool if this Fox guy is, I would say, number 11 maybe.
Yeah,
number 11.
I don't think he's the weakest, but foxes are sort of associated with being cunning. So he could be like a very cunning or a strategist like Piccolo, you know, like a very cunning god of destruction. So putting him there will probably seems plausible to me.
Yeah, and so like I would probably put it like that as well, just because, and also seeing them play off of Beerus. Like one thing I really hope from these designs, it looks like, is I hope that the fox and the mice get some kind of interaction with Beerus and Champa, just because of, we want that. Like it just visually, we want that. We want the mouse to kind of mess with Beerus and Champa. We want the fox to mess with the cats as well. And then,
it would be funny. Like I can just imagine like Beerus and Champa arguing over something. Like I don't know what it is, but they're like in each other's faces about to throw down, and then you just see the little mouse walking up to him. "Aw, you two are still bickering, huh?" and then they turn and they're like, "You," and then they're gonna try and fuck him up, and then the fox comes and helps the mouse. Like it would be funny.
Yeah, like that would be absolutely great. And then I know you and I have talked about this before on other videos that we've done, but I think it's pretty safe to say that you and I agree that the clown is the weakest of all.
Yeah, and I'll kind of go ahead and elaborate on that for people who are wondering why, because some people actually think he's the strongest. Now, that's fine, and I wouldn't be too upset, or I wouldn't get, you know, I wouldn't go on a rant if he was the strongest, but I feel like just due to the fact that you look at the colors of the Kaioshin, like people have made fun of the fact that it's like Robin colors, and then you look at like the Joker clown, and then you look at the Harley Quinn attendant, and then people were like saying that the guy who's wrapped up in the cloak is like they're paying homage, like his clown's god of destruction's team is like playing homage like the League of Shadows, the League of Assassins, like all wrapped up in black. So it's like, I feel like they're really paying homage to DC, and I feel like they're really paying homage to the characters from DC, especially now since DC's really mainstream with the movies like Justice League and stuff, and we know Toriyama is a big movie watcher, so I feel like if he really is paying homage to Joker, why not he be the weakest? It's just the fact that he is very smart, very crazy, you know what I mean? And plus, I mean, think about it, look at Kid Buu. Kid Buu, very cool character, but he wasn't the strongest Buu. He was just very psychotic. Now, I'm not trying to say that the clown is like that. Like, he'll just destroy plans on a whim. Obviously, he'll have a personality, but I just feel like him being very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, he'll fuck with the other guys of destruction, you know? Like, he'll tell them, what if I do this? You know, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? So it's like, kind of just fucking with him and egging him on. I think that would work very well for his character.
Well, you know, the one thing we have seen, I'll elaborate a little bit more on what you're talking about. Like, I would love for him to be kind of chaotic, kind of Jokerish. Like, I don't really have a plan. I'm just going with it, but everything seems to be really intricately worked out for me. Like, he's flashy. And like you said, even though they went and kind of reanimated and made him more covered up, so we aren't supposed to know that the guy fighting Goku in the intro is actually the Cloud Gods team. I mean, obviously, if that's what they were trying to do, then they screwed up. But yeah, we've seen the Clown Gods team just based off that. And we know that, look, those guys have team uniforms. They have, they're flashy, and they're going to
also to point out, the team uniforms do match the red and black color scheme of Harley Quinn from the animated series. The red and black, so there you go, more Batman related.
Yeah, it's so, I pointed out as like Suicide Squad of Dragon Ball Super. It's like, but I'm just saying, like, you know, look, kind of historically, you look at clowns, and a lot of people have been putting it on the Joker and everything, but clowns are kind of maniacal in their own sense. They have this trope of being, you know, mischievous and conniving, and this, you know, and all the while they're a little bit untrustworthy, and that kind of leads to them being scary or you know, even
intimidating,
maniacal.
You know?
Yeah, intimidating just generally. And so the one thing I want is, if this guy, no matter what universe he's from, I want him, the team uniforms and everything, I want him to be nothing but a showboat, and I want him to figure out a way to cheat. Because if he is we don't necessarily know how it works. You know, we don't necessarily know if strong people or strong gods of destruction indicate how strong a universe is. But if that's what happens, and, you know, you have, I don't know, that probably doesn't happen if you want the elephant to be number 2 or number 1 or whatever anyone wants to be. And we had Gowasu and Zamasu going like, oh my god, I've never seen anyone this strong. Maybe it doesn't work that way. But what if the clown god doesn't have a strong universe? The one thing I want, like I've said in a couple videos, I don't want him to have a strong universe. I want him to go out of his way, whether it's cheating or making his team seem so flashy outside of like his one good contestant, that he's intimidating to people. Like, these guys are on point. They have team costumes, they have all this stuff, which anyone could really do. I mean, they all have attendants, they all have gods of destruction. They could all just be like, everyone has team clothes. Like, but this guy did it. This guy does it for whatever reason. I hope we do get a legitimate answer. But just what I've seen so far, seen in the intro and all that stuff, I personally feel like he's not probably the strongest. I feel like, very, very last, and he's going to pull out all the stops, because he's probably if he's at the lower totem pole this whole time with all these other gods of destruction, then this is his chance to prove himself in his entire universe. Because if he has been on the top, if he has been on the bottom, then this is his chance to basically show up all of his brothers and sisters, if that's what they are. Man, we don't really know.
Yeah, I agree. To go off of that more before we get out of here, is just the fact that you talked about how maybe the God of Destruction's strength represents the universe, right? Now, we know Goku's middle of the road, if that's the case. If we're going off that theory, then Goku's middle of the road, because that's where Beerus is at, right? Mm-hmm. Now, you look at, we put the elephant at number 1. So, I know we put the old man at number 1, right? Or, I completely forgot. Who did we put? We put...
the dwarf.
The dwarf, okay. So we put the dwarf in number 1. We don't necessarily know what universe he's exactly from, but he's in the forefront. Maybe, just maybe, like, you have like that clown maybe steal a dead fighter from that universe, and it's like this big thing where it's like all the other guys are like saying, how could you do that? That guy, how could he resurrect this monster who with all this power? He even rivals that of God of Destructions, and he's just like, well, they said from each universe, they didn't say they had to reside in the universe, so it's like he does that whole, he plays the joke, he's kind of like conniving, and he's cheating, being a clown, and Goku is kind of like what would be the word? Goku is I guess the trick to it. I don't know how I would say it because Goku is the Kaioken. You know what I mean? These other people aren't going to realize that Goku can amp his power more and more by times 2, 3, 4, 10, maybe even times 20, and that'll give him the edge over this so-called strong fighter. That's why I kind of have my own little theory about that. I know I could went off topic, but that's just my own little theory to back up maybe why that God of Destruction may have like a weaker universe, but it leads to him taking fighters from other universes.
Yeah, I mean, like we've discussed that before on this channel, and I'm with your channel as well. It's like I definitely like that idea. I really, really like that theory, just because look, the one thing we saw in the last tournament was both Beerus and Champa wanted to cheat.
Yeah.
Especially Champa. Champa was doing anything to win. Like he's getting things like this, that, and the other. If that's any indication of how all 12 of these people interact when they're together, especially with such stakes on the line, then if we don't see at least one major, if not multiple major cheating like situations where they're either like panning one universe, making universe 7 fight two matches in a row, like, or two universes in a row or something, do dark tournament shit where it's just really on universes 7's lap to like everyone else is gunning for them type of thing. Like, I would feel very cheated going into this arc. I really want there to be stakes in a very big way.
I haven't seen the Dark Tournament arc, but I'll take your word for it. Yes, I want to see it like that.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, guys, I know this is kind of like a rambly video for the most part, but tell us what you think about this in the comment section below. Tell us your ranking for them in the comment section below, because obviously MJ have our thoughts. They're pretty similar thoughts as it turns out, but I hope that like you guys probably have some different thoughts. I mean, a lot of people probably think the clown's one of the strongest, and a lot of people think that the elephant might be the strongest, or the woman might be the weakest. I'm sure there's some people who think that way. Shame on you. But, no, like for the most part, like tell us what y'all think in the comment section below, and we'll get back to y'all. Just rank them, 1 through 12. Anyway, please make sure to go check out MJ. Makes some pretty awesome content over his channel, daily content for anyone who likes Dragon Ball content and anything like that. And I can keep saying content. Anyway, guys, we're going to catch you on the next video. Bye.